Okay, so what I have done here is take a piece of the Beadalon, the 19 strand. I cut that, giving myself more than enough, okay? Probably too much, but that's okay. So what I've done after that is I strung all of the beads that I was showing you, which are like Indian rainbow jasper, I believe it was. And then I took and put one of these in between each one. Let me give you a closer look. I'm not sure if you're seeing that. There we go. So, with saying that, I put it up to my neck exactly where I wanted it to fall. And I'm using the bead stoppers. Do you see at the end? Just like so. And it keeps them from falling once you have it in place. I also put a few seed beads right here on the inside so that these do not, they serve as a buffer more or less in between. It keeps them separated. So the next thing that we're going to do is grab our pliers, if I can get them here. And we need a clasp and some crimping beads or tubes. And you need to choose what you're using. And I'm going to use copper. Not only is copper like my favorite metal, but I just love the color. Even when it patinas, when it gets a little bit green, I like the antique-y look. So I'm like, oh, good with that, you know? And I've got, okay, let me use one of these. All right, so I just had these, so I'm actually going to take these. This is for like a 3-strand, but I don't have a 3-strand. I'm not making a 3-strand necklace or bracelet or whatever. So I'm going to take that finding and get this. And what you want to do when you have your jump rings here, you want to do it side to side instead of pulling it apart. That way it keeps its round shape. Then you pull off whatever you're going to be pulling off there. And then you bring them back together. And you can take it and flatten it out really good. Okay? And I'm going to do the same with the other end. I'm going to open them on the side so that I'm not compromising the structure of my round, my jump ring. Because we want it to stay nice and round. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our crimpers. The reason I have two is because this one's a micro and this one's your basic. So I need the basic because these are not micro tubes. And this is how we do it. We put our crimp tube on the end, and then we take our jump ring or clasp. You don't have to have a jump ring. Sometimes they can be a pain. It's all, you know, what you want. And I run it through a few of them. So if I could show you. Do you see this coming out? So now what I do as I pull it. You don't want it to be so tight that you don't have a little bit of leeway there. So I leave a small, I pull it taut with the pliers, and then I leave a small loop there. Now what you're going to do is, if you look here, get the camera, all right. Okay, you see how there's two different holes. First thing you're going to do is you're going to, let me find it again. You're going to crimp it off with the bottom hole, the closest to the end, the inside of the pliers. And you're going to crimp it. Now you're going to turn 45 degrees, which is like halfway, not turning it all the way, not doing a 180. You're just doing a 45, or a 90, I should say. 90 degree, not 45. And you're going to crimp it with the top hole, bringing it together. Well, let me show you where it's at right now. It's like squeezed. Okay, so now I'm going to take it just like so and use the end of it. Oops. And squeeze it. Oops. Oh, what am I doing here? There we go. And squeeze it together. Well, that's good and tight. And one of the reasons that I don't use jump rings a lot of times is because you have to worry about sometimes, just like what happened, that coming out of it. So you can either, oops, bring them together a little bit, which I just don't have any closed, or you can solder it together. I just did not simply have any closed jump rings. I just didn't feel like going and hunting through it. So now we got one end done. And then I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to take one link off of here. And then you want to close it back up. Okay. Now we're going to do the same with this side. You're going to want to make sure, well, I suppose the next thing you can do, because you have left over here, see this? Take your wire cutters. Are these better? Yeah, these are newer. And be careful not to snip both lines. You just want to snip one, which is the tail that's coming out. Okay. So now you're going to make sure that it's good and tight by running it all the way. Hanging it more or less is what I mean. All right. Now at the other end, we're going to put our other crimp tube. Okay. And then we're going to put our other jump ring, or whatever clasp that you're using. And I'm going to simply run it through a couple of the beads. This is where your pliers really come into play, because you can get, oops, a good grip on the end of your tail while holding the other end of your clasp in order to get a good tight fit. Now I'm going to use my crimp beads again, or my crimp crimping pliers. And I'm going to crimp the first one, which is, okay. We're going to do the inside hole, then the outside hole. So you're going to crimp this one first and then that way. You're going to turn it 90 degrees and then do it again in order to bring what you've created. Sully, no. Oh my gosh. Time to pause. Okay, sorry. I let him out. Okay, so we've already crimped it halfway. Do you see how it makes like a groove? Takes that tube and makes a groove, makes like a U. So then you use the last one in order to squeeze it together. And then a lot of times I will get right at the end of it and squeeze that together. And there you have it. So now I'm going to take the excess. Where are my wire cutters? Okay. I actually did not do that right. I should have put this on the other end. It's an extender if you want an extender, which actually I made this to the right size for me, so I don't need an extender. And there you have it. You have completed the necklace. So I hope you have enjoyed this. And you know, even this part is not perfect. None of it is perfect. This comes out a little bit. Had I had a smaller bead to finish this off, because it was starting to buckle on me, which you'll find happens. I should have found a smaller bead in order to put on the inside, and that would not have happened. But you know what? I don't really care. Most people are not going to be looking at it that close. You know what I'm saying? So it does not really bother me. I'm still going to wear it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I don't normally make them for myself. So this one I made for myself, and I'm pleased that I did. You guys inspired me, so thank you. So next, we need to determine what you guys want to do next. Now, if you want to do like polymer clay, we can do polymer clay. If you want to do something that's still, shoot, I wished, and I don't have it down here with me. I'll see if I can put a picture in. That's what I'll do. A picture of a bead woven, or do I have one here? No, I don't think so. Of a bead woven bracelet. Maybe that's what we should do next, because it's actually pretty simple. I think you'll find this very easy, and it doesn't take much materials, and you've already purchased the materials that you would have needed for this if you bought a few different kinds of seed beads. So that's what we'll do next. And then we'll go from there. So I will do a whole new video showing what we're going to do next and the material list that you're going to need. Okay? For the next Thursdays. But this has completed the Bead Embroidery Series. The necklace Bead Embroidery Series. But really, once you learn how to do one of them, you really learn how to do any of them. It's all in how you use it and the different sizes and different shapes, different colors that you put them together, you know, different ways of whether you're making them in earrings. Another thing you can do, like one of my other necklaces, is you can make a bunch of these and then have other full cabochons that are beaded all sewn together in order to create a whole necklace. So the whole necklace is cabochons, bead embroidered cabochons. And then you know, you do a fancy focal point. Those are really big and really time consuming, and they are expensive for somebody to buy them because of the amount of time and materials that you use in them. They are definitely, I mean, I have sold some of those necklaces and some of my bracelets, which, let me just grab one really quick and I'll show you. So I have one of those right here. Oh, I do have one. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so when I was talking about bead weaving, this is simple bead weaving. A bracelet. This is not bead embroidery because you're not embroidering it on anything. You're just sewing the beads together. So this is for somebody that has really small wrists, which I do not. I probably couldn't even, but this is a hook and eye clasp. Okay. But they go right around your wrist. So there's that. That's what I think we'll do next, something like that. And you don't have to get, you know, you don't have to use a couple of different ones. Although I like how this turned out, and you can do that. We can also keep it really simple and just use one bead throughout the whole thing. Showing you, you know, doing something with more than this. Actually sewing cabochons together, and look at the rimming on this. The edging, I should say. And then doing a different kind of you know, strands. Here's a type of bracelet that you can do that is a bunch of cabochons that you sew together and then do edging and do something special. And then put a clasp on it. This is another one that I've done. This is around a metal cuff. I believe this is like 2.5 inches thick. And then all you're doing is actually sewing it all together like one of these. This one I did not make. It was actually made for me. I did an exchange with a beautiful young lady by the name of Olga. She lived in Sweden, I think. Finland or Sweden. I think it was Sweden. But she made this. And it's essentially the same thing. However, instead of backing it only in leather, you're attaching attaching both of the pieces to a metal cuff. And then putting it on. Cuffs can be used depending on your arms. Obviously, I have fat arms, so it's not something that I like. And they don't all have to be this big either. You know, I'm just like big and bold in my designs. But for slender arms and stuff, you can even put them on the top part of your arms, which are just so friggin' sexy. But either way, these are just examples of things that you can do with bead weaving. So, but I think to start off with, we're going to do something similar to this. We're going to pick 1 or 2 beads. And, you know, you can do designs inside of them too. I have one that's got like pyramids. It's peyote stitch. I've got other ones that are like herringbone stitch. But we'll do a peyote because I already showed you how to do a peyote in here. So we're just going to do where you can actually see peyote on a flat surface where you're not going around anything. It's just being, you know, sewn back and forth, which is a lot easier. I think this is peyote. Yeah. Yeah, it's peyote. It just throws you off a little bit just because of using the 2 different size beads and stuff. But anyways, I will give you a list in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give me a like, hit that subscribe. Don't forget about the little notification bell to receive notification of future video releases. And I'm wishing you always love and light.